wants to pay $25,000 to $45,000 in commissions, it's really going to force people to actually do their job.
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that they're eliminating this.
If an agent's providing value, they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
If they're not, they're going to be flushed out. What is the point of you having a listing agent or a buying agent? Like, what is it? I could just go to the title company and do it myself. Well, you can. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's your freedom to do that. No one's telling you have to use an agent.
Buyer's closing costs just increased $15,000 to $30,000, maybe even more. According to this article from Housing Wire, NAR just settled, and we are eliminating the buyer's agent compensation. And so buyers might be on the hook, buyers may not. Join us in this conversation as we dive into this article from Housing Wire and we discuss our thoughts, but we also want to know your thoughts. This is a hot topic. Everybody's been talking about it. We've been getting text messages, emails, and people are asking, what do we think about the NAR lawsuit? So I'm just going to bring up a couple of the major points, and then let's talk about this because I think it's going to be a good thing. So first things is NAR decided to settle. So they're paying out let me see, $418 million in damages.
Million?
18 million, yeah, 418 million, not billion. So it was originally 2 billion. But this protects the Realtor Association, right? This doesn't protect the Keller Williams. This doesn't protect EXP. It doesn't protect any of the big brokerages or even the small brokerages. This is strictly a settlement for Realtor associations. Okay.
So what exactly is going on?
Well, so
because I know it's a lot of information to take in at one time. I'm going over the weekend. I have everything's going on. I'm seeing the NAR verdict come out. But can you explain to us what's actually happening? Yeah.
So essentially, they got sued for forcing sellers to pay buyer's agents.
Who forced them?
NAR and the MLSs. Because it was a requirement that we put in some kind of compensation. Nobody could put in a zero. Hey, we're paying zero, and MLS. And so nationwide, they're saying that, hey, there's this essentially collusion that NAR is forcing sellers to pay a commission, and even forcing them to even in the contracts, right? The contracts that the associations put out for us to use says that out of all the commissions, X is going to be going to a buyer's agent, and they're saying that's wrong. And by July, let me just double check this article. Okay. By mid-July of 2024. Any kind of MLS participation, there will be no offering of a buyer's agent commission. And so essentially, the buyers who have a closing cost, if they're paying with finance, the closing costs that go to the lender now have increased, and cash buyers potentially had an increase in their closing costs now because they would have to pay for their agent.
Correct. If they want to use an agent, that is.
If they want to use an agent.
And so, want representation,
yeah, there's so many things here. So I'm going to share some of my opinions, but I think you're going to have a little bit of different opinions here because I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that they're eliminating this. One reason why, we were negotiating an offer for a client. And in this situation, it made sense to be like, hey, we're only going to offer, I called the agent and I said, listen, this is an offer, but with the understanding that we are only charging 2%. So that extra percent goes to the seller's profits.
Right.
And the agent's like, oh, no, that's between you and your client. You can handle it on the back end. I'm like, no, this is what it is. This is your... And so through negotiating, by the time we ended up not getting that house under contract, which worked out better for our clients. But then when I went back and I saw what it closed for, we were at the net, we were netting the seller the same amount, but the agent wasn't willing to share that information. Hey, this offer is based off of 2, and the agent wasn't willing to share it. So I think this is healthy because it's allowing us to negotiate what do we feel is fair? What do we feel is fair for our time? But at the same time, what does the buyer feel is fair that I'm willing to pay you? And now I think it's going to force agents to actually sit down with their clients and explain a contract. Hey, I'm going to have you fill out this buyer rep, and this is what I believe my worth is, right? When we sit down and we talk to clients, that is something that we do. We sit down and we say, hey, I understand you may not want to pay this, but this is what I'm going to work for. And if you don't want to use this, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm not going to go and give my services away for free. I need commitment, just like I'm willing to commit to you. And so I think it's a good thing that they are eliminating putting a commission for the buyer's agent on the MLS and now an agent's going to have to negotiate their own salary. What are your thoughts on it, though?
I mean, I don't disagree. I think it's going to be a huge flushing of people who just got their license to think they can make big money and to not do a lot of work. I mean, you see a lot with especially, both sides, buying and selling. Some agents, I mean, they do get the reputation of being like a used car salesman. I mean, they are just there for the money. They do little work. They make a lot of profit, a lot of money on the backs of people that's their equity in their homes.
Yeah.
And I think what it's going to do is really going to force people to actually do their job and show that they have value in the system where they're going to be flushed out.
Right.
So I don't think it's horrible. What I'm concerned about is, so if you have a listing and you're not showing any kind of commission, like it's really going to hamper bringing somebody in to purchase that house. If you're not off, I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out right now is if you have a buyer, you have a seller, and they're trying to link up, but they're not communicating. Is there any kind of compensation? Is it what's going on? I feel like a lot of buying agents are, they're just going to move to a different house, and then the listing's going to sit there and not get any buyers. But I mean,
every single listing, listing, right?
Exactly. So
they have to eliminate it all. So every single listing, it's not just one listing. Every single listing, they're eliminating disclosure.
So what about veteran buyers, VA buyers?
What about veteran buyers
that can't put their own money out for certain closing costs, and they can't pay commissions?
Yeah. So I don't know the whole thing on the VA if they can or cannot pay commissions.
So nothing's came out for FHA, VA right now. The guidance on that. I'm trying to figure out how that's going to work because some buyers can't pay certain closing costs.
Right.
When it comes to purchasing homes.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, we've worked with people like it's a struggle to even come up with the lender's closing costs, right? Yeah. And they are asking.
What about
this?
It sucks. I understand. Like I get it. I agree that sellers. I mean, they a lot of their equity is being paid to these fees that shouldn't be paid.
Yeah.
But what about the people who are just trying to enter the market now? They're like you said, they're being amplified with these extra costs. What are they going to do?
Okay, I'm gonna be a devil's advocate here, though, right? But let's say I'm the seller, right? I'm the seller, and now I get a couple offers, and one agent is saying because the agent essentially, I don't think the commission is going to fully fall on the buyer, right? Mm-hmm. I think what it's going to come down to is when an agent and a buyer meet together. The agent's going to say, this is what my worth is, and they're going to have to prove their worth. Just like when we take on a listing, right? When we take on a listing, we have to prove our worth that like, hey, this house that I just listed, we got 9 offers because we do this,
I'll let you finish your point.
This,
I got something after that.
Right? So. And so now there's going to be the buyer's agent, when they sit down with the buyer, they're going to say, this is why you should hire me because I'm going to do this, and this. And if I can't get the money from the seller, like you will have to come up with X amount of dollars. But it's forcing the buyer's agents to actually prove their worth versus just like, hey, yeah, like sign me up because I'm your best friend and you should use me even though you may never show a house. And so let me just land this thought. So let's say there's a couple offers on a house, right? And now an agent's saying, hey, listen, I understand I actually only am asking for 2% here, or I'm asking for a flat fee, or I'm asking for 1%. But then you have an agent over here say, I'm only going to work for 3%. Well,
good for you. I mean,
right.
That's what it comes down to.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you have this thing. But I think it's the seller will still pay for it, but I think the seller will now have more power in what they're willing to pay. Yeah. Now, is this going to hurt first-time home buyers? Probably.
Well, and my concern is like discount brokerages and discount agents that will take essentially nothing to put something on the MLS. Mm-hmm. And well, first of all, when you go to a listing, you secure a listing. What benefits or what's your worth to them? Because a lot of people think you're overpaid. Mm-hmm. You make too much money on the listing side. You're taking equity out of people, which a lot of times, sometimes it's happening. But what is your worth? What makes you different from just a budget discount broker?
Yeah, well, I think it ultimately comes down to is like paying an agent is an investment, right?
But what are we providing? What are you providing? I think a lot of people. I see it because I see it in the comments. A lot of people. I mean, we have a lot of people that comment, but they're like, "What is the point of even having a listing agent or a buying agent? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
What's the point?"
Yeah, and that's very good.
But I mean, in your opinion, what's the point?
Well, I'll give you an example. Like we had on a buyer side, we were helping out the buyers, and we had a seller that just went AWOL. They went crazy on us, right? Mm-hmm. We're following the contract, and then all of a sudden they like decided to go like craziness on us, and we had to consult with our attorneys. We had to figure out like, okay, what the heck is going on here? Are our clients still going to be protected? Like all of that kind of stuff. And so we really earned every single penny on that one. We might have even lost money, but that's okay because we fought for our clients, right? Like we were continually fighting for our clients. And unfortunately, it was probably more stressful for the buyers than 90% of our transactions because we had to get attorneys and all that kind of stuff involved. But we had people that we could go to and consult with and fight for our clients on that, right? So there's but sometimes people would just like bend over and be like, okay, well, that's what they say. Sorry, we're just gonna have to move on, you know? And so I think that's where it comes down to is like our worth. And when you're talking about like, what do you even do? You just put a sign in my yard. I think there is a big difference, right? People can scroll through the MLS or scroll through Zillow and see a difference between a good listing agent and a bad listing agent, right? And you can have a bad listing agent, and if a bad listing agent's doing their job horribly, you might lose $40,000 on that, what you could have sold it for. If you have a good listing agent, you might make $50,000. So when you're talking about paying, whether it's 2%, 3%, 1%, 1.5%, if you made 3 times that with a good listing agent, like that makes more sense, right? If I have to pay, and I'm just going to throw a random number. If I have to pay $10,000 more for a good listing agent and I made $50,000, I just 5x'd my like what I was going to make because I hired somebody good versus somebody not. Right. And again, it goes back to like showing and proving your worth.
I think it's peace of mind if you find the right real estate agent, because a lot of people will be like, I could just go to the title company and do it myself. Well, you can. I mean, that's your freedom to do that. No one's telling you have to use an agent or you don't have to accept anything. And some people can. Some people are really good at it. But when a problem arises, I think that's where some of that value is at.
I will say, like, sometimes it makes sense to just go to the title company, but sometimes it doesn't, you know.
Right.
So
what about new home builders? You know, they have tons of shadow inventory we've been talking about. Yeah. Inventory's coming online. Do you think the model is going to move to more a salary based, where don't worry about commissions, just come on in. We make salary off our sales, not commission.
Well,
which a lot of them are.
Okay, so this takes me to the next point that I'm so passionate about this. I do not like limited dual agency at all. And limited dual agency means that one brokerage is representing both the buyer and the seller. Matter of fact, like your wife just dealt with this, right? Like where one of her client's friends got in a situation where the builder's agent represented both the builder and her, not your wife, but your wife's client's friends, right? And when it came down to the closing costs, they ended up pulling the closing costs, and the agent was like stuck because they had nobody advocating, right? The builder's agent is going to be loyal to the builder, and that's just what it is, because the builder is feeding that builder's agent. So even if it comes to a gray area, more than likely they're going to lean towards the one that's feeding their family. And so when you go into these dual agency areas, like it is very risky because by our contracts, we have to promote the best interest of both parties. But how can you on a limited dual? It's impossible.
Right.
To me, there's always going to be one way or another, like leaning one way or the other. And so the builders are already moving to a salary-based model. A handful of the builders are saying, hey, like I'm going to put my agent on a salary. And I think it will also eliminate the whole thing of like, oh, well, I'm going to go to the builder's agent, let them represent me. I'm not going to save an extra 10, 15 grand. Because let me give you another example of like what we just walked through as a brokerage. If you remember, there was a brand new house, and our clients built it, and there was rust stains all over the garage. And we're like this is unacceptable. Like this is a brand new house, and the superintendent was like, no, like you're just going to cover it up. Like they tried for a while to just try to brush over it, right? But me and one of our agents were like, no, we're not brushing over this. Like this is a brand new house. This is unacceptable. And we, in one sense, we didn't force them, but we said, no, we are not going to move forward without this being addressed. And so our client's garage floor got epoxied, right? But imagine it was the builder's agent, right? The builder's agent wouldn't have fought for that, right? The builder's agent would have been like, it is what it is. Like this is normal, right? They tried to brush it off because they're trying to make the builder money because the builder's paying their salary. Right. And so anyways,
I think what it comes down to is if an agent's providing value, they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
If they're not, they're going to be flushed out with I think hundreds and thousands of them are going to be flushed out here soon because they have no idea how to compete. They have no idea how to, without, being cutthroat and cut rate and dropping their prices so low where they're actually losing money every month.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting what happens to brokerages with their zero commission model fees and everything. And it's just, I mean, are fees gonna double on the back end to make up for differences? I don't know, but it's pretty crazy to see.
Because there are models out there right now that are saying, hey, I'll list your house for X amount with the hope that they get the buy on the back end.
Well, we got to say one thing or two. This drives me nuts. Is when you have a 6% listing, which everybody thinks the buyer or the listing agent receives that 6%. That's not true. Usually it's split.
Yeah, and the 6% that we're talking about here is just an example.
If it is 6%, if it's 5%, usually it's always split, right? So then out of that, the agent's paying taxes, they're paying brokerage fees, they're paying listing fees, photos, drone. I mean, they're paying for video. So
not all the time, but a good agent.
Well, I mean, good agents that do that, people that you hope are doing their job, providing value. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of that's eroded away. So now they're going to have to try and figure out how are we going to provide these services and how are we still going to make any kind of, income.
Yeah.
So I think there's a misconception that agents, I mean, there is a lot of agents that make tons of money, but there's a lot of agents that are barely scraping by. And I'm curious if it's just going to wipe them out.
Right. But again, I want you to think about the seller here. So let's say you really sell your house.
Yeah.
Think about the power it puts in the to me it takes away the power of the buyer a little bit. But think about the power that the seller has, right? I'm listing my house, and you don't in your mind you already know what you would be willing to pay a buyer's agent. It could be $100, it could be $1,000.
Right.
But the house around the street, same as yours, they're also not disclosing what they're willing to pay a buyer's agent. Mm-hmm. And so it eliminates the whole, I'm gonna go here because I'm gonna make more. It eliminates the buyer's agent swaying one way or another on a house, right? So I guess.
Well, I'm curious if it's going to create conflict between the buying and listing side agents and trying to compete or trying to secretly come up with a compensation agreement when they know. That's why I'm curious if they're going to cut their clients.
Is there going to be back end deals?
Exactly. That's what a bad potential I see is agents being like, hey, here's what's really going on. They're talking in the background because they do, and they're going to be making these secret deals behind their clients' backs, what they shouldn't be doing. Yeah. But what's going to happen because why is everybody actually doing what they're doing? Why are they in real estate? Why are they closing deals?
Because they're trying to make money.
They need money. Yeah. They're making a paycheck. Yeah. So I think when it comes down to that, we're gonna have some serious. I think even more lawsuits are gonna come out from that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I hope it eliminates the whole mindset of dual agency, right? Because there's so many times that we've talked to clients where they feel like if I go straight to the listing agent, I'm gonna get a better deal, even though they may not. But I'm they're going to save on commission, even though there may not be a saving on commission. And
I'm going to say, I don't fully understand everything right because I'm still researching it, and it's been a lot this week in the dump and trying to figure out the actual legalities because I haven't actually seen the full verdict. I haven't seen what the language is. I haven't seen the actual damages and what this actually means for MLS. Mm-hmm. You have a bunch of statements coming out from NAR and all these real estate firms and brokerages are saying, don't panic, this and that. It's but nobody, I don't feel like, it's just like the U.S., just like when the U.S. laws get passed. It's 3 laws, but it's 50,000 pages of pork inside those. So I don't know what's inside this right now. And that's why.
I don't think anybody does.
Well, that's why it's hard for me to understand. I understand the basics. I think sellers, it's a huge win for sellers right now. And I think they do have a lot more power. And I don't think anybody wants to pay the amount they're paying.
Yeah.
Who wants to pay $25,000 to $45,000 in commissions on their selling? That's a lot of money. That was their equity, and that was their blood, sweat, and tears they put in their house.
Yeah.
Why would they want to?
Right.
It's always a point of contention, but it's just always been that's what we have to do to get it sold. But it'll be really interesting to see what happens.
Something I just thought about too here is, what is this going to do to the MLS?
I know. Well, that's
the only purpose for the MLS, because the thing. Okay, my mind's going to go.
People are going to go to Zillow. They're going to go to Redfin.
Right?
They don't need the MLS.
They don't need the MLS anymore.
They don't. Well, the only thing they have is their confidential tab. You can see certain things about the property that you can't really see on public information. But I think the model is going to shift. It's the same thing with agent dues. Like agents pay dues to MLS, they pay dues to NAR.
They pay dues to NAR and MLS to have access to the MLS.
But now you have millions of agents pissed right now. They're probably going to refuse to pay dues to NAR because they don't feel like they're being supported.
Right.
This is going to be a huge conflict. And the whole, I mean, not only are we dealing with a horrendous real estate market right now, all kinds of weird swings going on in the market. Mm-hmm. Now you're dealing with this. It's going to be a fallout from a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And organizations.
Yeah. I mean, man, like there really is, like, what's the point of MLS now? Because the MLS was a source where you could share confidential information, right? Like that's agent to agent confidential information. But it was also used as a site to share the compensation that you and I would receive if we brought a certain seller a buyer.
I mean, what? No more clunky logins.
But you don't need that. Like you don't need that anymore, right?
Unless they can come up with a way to show confidential information through like a portal, like of Zillow. I mean, like Zillow.
But what's the value of the MLS now? Like I don't know. Like this is something I'm gonna have to think about. What is the value of the MLS? And the other question is, what's the value of NAR in this? Because all they did is protect the associations. They didn't protect the agents. They didn't protect the brokerages.
That's my point.
Right? In this settlement, they're not saying, hey, we're going to settle, but you can't go after any agent. You can't go after any brokerage. You just can't go after any association. Mm-hmm. Their true colors.
What's to say that X seller is not going to go after X agent now for the compensation? Now they're upset. What about all these people are upset now after they find?
But do you think they should? Do you think they should be able to go after them?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know because I don't know. I don't know what this actually.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know the actual verdict.
Yeah.
I'm not well versed enough right now to understand. Maybe here in a couple of days when we actually figure out what's going on.
Right. When more and more stuff comes out.
Yeah. But this is like we were talking about this morning. This is a different way we have to structure our businesses. I think a way of providing value is doing these videos.
Yeah.
A way of providing value is our real estate videos, all of our different things. Because if we're not doing that, what value are we providing anybody? Like, why would they want to use us or talk to us or engage with us with real estate? Beacon of hope that can just like escape the mob.
Right.
Like I feel like we're just in a mob right now. Everywhere I go, there's an agent that knows an agent that knows an agent that's somebody who's just got their life. Like it's to the point now where it's so mind numbing where I don't want to talk to anybody that says they're a real estate agent.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but everybody is.
Right. But the question is, what do people want in value? That's the question that we have to start asking ourselves, and maybe even people could comment on is, what is the value that people want from their agent?
I want to know that from people. Why do you pay an agent? Why do people, when they go to buy a house, they feel like they have to reach out to an agent? Mm-hmm. Like it's embedded in people's mind that they have to find a real estate agent. Why is that? Is that because of the industry standards? Is that because of social norms? Is that because of advertising?
Yeah.
Two, what kind of value do you think an agent should provide? Mm-hmm. Right? Because it swings wildly. You have people on the opposites that, agents are just used car salesmen are horrible. I'm not saying all used car salesmen are bad. I'm saying, but the image of that, they're horrible. They take money from everybody. They take their equity. We should never have them. They cause more problems. And you have other people that say, I would never do anything without one because of protection. So where's that swing at?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. But maybe we'll know from the comments and people will let us know what they think.